Hey guys, welcome to Joe Newing. This is the channel about fish keeping where I keep fish. I know, so surprising. Today we are talking about... Hold on. I feel like I should have had this up already. As you can see, we keep it casual here. I don't have my phone on me. I don't read stuff. I don't read a script. Which is probably a bad idea because I should read a script. Anyways, most common misconceptions in fish keeping. That's right, we're doing it. You thought I would never get around to it or anything. Well, guess what? I'm getting to it. Now, as we know, there are some big misconceptions in fish keeping. Things like fish bowls being fine. That kind of thing. Well, guess what? Fish bowls aren't always fine, and things like that aren't always the best. But, when you're talking about fish keeping, we have to talk about, the 5 topmost misconceptions. And fish bowls will end up on this list. In fact, they're number 1. But we'll talk about number 1 in a minute. So, number 5, saltwater is hard. Saltwater is not hard. Fish keeping is hard. If you find testing and water changes and measuring stuff hard, then you are in the wrong hobby and you are obviously owning the wrong animal. If your betta fish is per se I don't know, you're not testing or doing water changes on your betta fish, what are you even doing? If you're not doing all that, all the work, it's like owning a dog. If you're not scooping the poops in the backyard, or actually a cat would be better because you have the litter box, but anyways, if you're not scooping the poops in the backyard, in the litter box, we'll go with the cat one, and feeding them, and cleaning up their vomit on the floor, then you're not putting in the work needed for a betta fish or for a fish in general. Now, obviously, here we go with saltwater, and you have to measure one more thing, and that's salt. People go, oh, salt is so hard. It's as hard as you make it. I did buy some hard corals, and I did find that one of them was harder than the other, substantially harder than the other, so yeah, you might be right about that, but if you choose easy corals and easy fish, like clownfish, let's see, red-banded high-fin gobies, holy crap, that is a sentence. Pistol shrimp, hermit crabs, though, never get hermit crabs, they will ruin your tank. Hermit crabs, other fish that I'm not as well versed in saltwater as I am in fresh, I do apologize, but hermit crabs, that kind of thing. If you are not doing the easy stuff where they're not as, or they're able to take beginner mistakes, it's just a fish thing. Owning a Nemo isn't that hard. Alright, so for those who like Nemo, saltwater fish keeping's easy. Alright, I love Emo, my clownfish Emo. Putting her up on screen right now. And she is she literally comes to the tank, and she's more active than my betta fish, which says something. I find that tank just more entertaining because it's so lively and I can mimic a natural environment. That doesn't mean you can't do that in freshwater, but it is so much easier to mimic a natural environment in saltwater, and so much more rewarding because then you get to see all these interesting fruits of your labor. Alright, number 4. Growing plants is hard. Now, right here, I have my aquarium plants guide. This ended up being complete bullcrap. Alright, this said that you needed all these complicated things, CO2 and whatnot. Well, for some plants you need CO2, but I have a Lodia growing in the tank next to me. I just look at it and it's growing. This thing is taking over the tank. I might actually have to cut it here in a minute. Trim it down. This isn't that hard. And then it is so, viewers who are new to the hobby, if you're not new to the hobby, you're probably I knew he was going to say this one. I was smart. It is so easy to own I wish I had a guest. And I'm thinking about getting a guest, but we won't talk about it now. But it is so easy to grow these plants. I have multiple planted aquariums, And sometimes you can just put in the plants without a filter, depending on the tank and depending on the fish. Yes. I know, to all those who are going to correct me in the comments, depending on what you use. But sometimes you can put in enough plants to the point where you can do what's called the Wallstead method, though I don't recommend these kinds of things for beginners because, yeah, beginner beware. Don't be stupid. Don't start off hard. Don't start off with disasters. Start off easy. But all you need is a little aqua soil, or gravel in some cases, and a plant that can just plant properly, you know? But like, people like say that you need a complicated, expensive CO2 system. That's only if you're going into expert plant level, and I don't have a green thumb, and I'm able to get these things to grow out of control. Maybe I do have a green thumb, who knows? But like, I think that if you're not keeping plants, like, you have to keep plants the right way. Like, you have to put them in the tank, you have to keep a light on them for 4 to 8 hours. I try to keep mine on for 4 hours. I gotta start doing better about that. But all it takes is a light, a simple LED light, a timer, and you plug in one of those timers from like Walmart or Lowe's or Home Depot. Put that in, activate that for 4 hours, boom. You're growing plants. It's not that hard. Now, granted, depending on the plant you want to get into, you gotta do your research. But things like Java Fern, Anubias, Elodia, lots of floaters, they go so well. And then if you use rocks and stuff, you can actually complement that with like if you use natural materials, you can complement your plants, and you will have even some of the, like, although they're master aquascapers, even some of the beginners, like, you can create some amazing things for your first tank. Like my first aquascape, I just laid a piece of wood down and put in some Anubias Nana Petite and some dwarf hairgrass, and it grew like crazy. It looks beautiful, and it looks like a fallen log in the middle of the forest. And that's my betta, whose name is Happy. That's Happy's tank, and he loves it. He could not be happier. Fish treat plants and natural objects so much more differently, and so I think we forget that. I think people don't do that, and it needs to be done. All right, let's check the next one. Number 3, fish flakes aren't always the most adequate food. Fish flakes aren't always the most adequate food. All right, so this is if you're like, yeah, I have my first fish tank. I've done neon tetras, which aren't always the best tetra. I'm gonna say that. I know, hot take, but I have a few of those. Basically, fish flakes, especially for bettas, aren't always the best. I feed my betta a variety of the diet for his diet. Every once in a while I'll give him bloodworms, brine shrimp. Basically, you need to widen your fish's nutrition. Now, there are a few fish flakes that can get that nutritional value, like I feed my betta, what is it, like fluval bug bites? Yeah, fluval bug bites. They're pretty freaking good. I feed my betta those all the time, and he loves them. And fish flakes, by the way, do have an expiration date, so like all food, they have an expiration date. You need to like treat your food well, I guess. So yes, they do have an expiration date, but fish flakes are really, really good for beginner fish and for basic tropical fish. But for things like puffers, not cories. Cories, yeah, because you need bottom feeder food. Sorry. Cories, a couple of other fish, yeah, they're not always the best thing. And especially for carnivore fish, like, you're going to give them plant-based foods. Even still, not just plant-based foods, but like tropical fish flakes. No, they need meat. They need like bloodworms and whatnot. And so feed blood, like, just research your fish's diet and research a few specific fish before you start going into like a whole new thing. All right, let's see. Number 2, large growing fish. A pleco is not gonna fix your problem. You have an algae problem? That's on you. You have a snail problem? Want a loach? Be careful which loach you get. Clown loaches grow big. You want a goldfish? But you only have that 10-gallon. That just doesn't fit well. But that goldfish will go well in your 1.5 gallon. Think again, buddy. It's not even good for a baby goldfish, so don't keep it for your adult goldfish, which is gonna grow the size of your fist. Yeah. Plus, goldfish don't have stomachs, so they're bad. I know this is a rant on, not a rant on goldfish, but they're bad for beginners. They're not beginner friendly. Goldfish and other fish grow big, and you have to. And so people are like, "Oh, I have a 10-gallon. I'll just put a pleco in it, and this pleco will do well." Well, plecos grow. Some plecos are known to grow like this big. I don't own any plecos, so because I don't have the space for plecos, frankly. And they grow big, and then they poop a lot, and so your ammonia levels will spike and so badly. So don't get the baby plecos that are the size of your pinky finger. It's a bad idea. They're gonna end up growing real big, and you're not gonna have the space for them. And that's how we have invasive species like snakeheads. I'm like, what's one fish that grew too big and then people didn't want it anymore? Snakeheads. And if you don't know about snakeheads, I might put a picture of one up here. I gotta find one that's not too bad, but like snakeheads grow. Like they grow, but they're pretty as babies. So people bought them and they're like, oh crap. Well, now I have a snakehead, but it's too big. And so they just dumped them in the rivers. And that's how we have snakeheads in Florida, a couple of other states that I don't remember. All right. Now, number one. Fish can live in fish bowls. Yeah, you heard me. Fish can live in fish bowls. They cannot. Well, actually, that being said, I do have a 1.5 gallon over there, but that has one shrimp, not a 1.5 gallon. I think it's just a 1 gallon. But it has one shrimp and a few snails, and it just thrives on its own. It's only planted, but that is like the only small tank I have, the only truly small tank that I have, and don't want to like pollute. So basically, most fish bowls kind of a no-go. Now, that being said, you need to consider shrimp. Now, if you're looking for a fishbowl and you want something fun, plant the thing. Make it look pretty. Make it look pretty. Plant it, pop it out, buy some Neocaridina shrimp. Your crystal blues, your red reelies, your blue reelies, your cherry shrimp. All of those are going to go so well in a fishbowl. So yes, there is options for fish bowls, just not a lot of them. There are a few fish that can live in them, but they're hard to find. Not always the best fit for people. Don't always, and probably not going to, like, you're not going to have much to feed them because they're too small. They're not going to eat a fish flake. They're not going to eat fish flakes. Once again, and they're probably wild caught too. Now, so shrimp are always the best option for fish bowls, and shrimp just look good. People diss shrimp. I was with my aunt at a fish store, and she was looking at these tanks. I'm like, oh well, this one would probably look good. This one would probably look good. That 0.5 gallon, that could probably not that 0.5 gallon, but like that 2 gallon right there. Yeah, that'll do well for shrimp. I got the weirdest look. I'm like, no, these things are good. Did not end up buying the shrimp, but like the thing is, shrimp take time to grow on you, as they did with me. I'm like, oh, shrimp don't look good. Saw these videos on YouTube. I'm like, oh, I'll give them a try. So I bought 2 cherries and put them at 3 gallon. Now, of course, this wasn't enough to breed it. Blah blah blah. That tank ended up having its filter crash and died. But I tried again with a 5 gallon, and I got 10 good release. I gotta buy some more to figure out what I'm doing wrong. I think what I was doing wrong was I just trying to fish them and boil them. So that would look badly, but that's how you find out things. I I can't confirm that for sure because I never saw that. But that's what I think happened. And basically, I love these shrimp. I love watching them. They are the most, watching them go on little shrimpy adventures is the most fun I have all day. I'll be like streaming on Twitch, and I'll look over, I'll be like, there's my shrimp, and they're shrimping. I could talk all day about shrimp. But like, people do not give shrimp enough credit. And there are people in this hobby that have 20 gallons full of them. Like, they are an obsession, and people need to like actually like consider them for their small tanks. Because small tanks aren't good for goldfish. Small tanks won't hold a pleco. Small tanks won't hold mini fish. They won't hold a betta. A betta needs swimming space. That's why they require 5 gallons side to side. Like, we're not talking... This is basic stuff here. And maybe I'll do a betta... I think I'll do a betta care guide in the future. I gotta write that script. Along with college essays and whatnot. But basically, yeah, a 0.5 gallon, good for 1 shrimp. I know that sounds weird, but that's what I have. That's one of the things I literally do. 2 gallon, 3 gallon, good for shrimp. It's always awesome. So yes, get shrimp, get more fish. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.